Attention!
Welcome to the Film Mages Podcast, where the popcorn is our ammunition, the couch is our foxhole, and the cinema is our place of worship.
Now let me see your war face. Ah!
It's still Christmas.
It sure is.
It's still the holiday season.
Look at that. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Well, I say, Mary, it's Christmas. Where are the kids? Oh, by golly.
Get those kids out of here. They're little sons of bitches.
Stop playing that confounded tune, damn it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Film Majors.
Hey, it's Alexis.
It's
Hey,
Zach.
and it's Mick.
And, yeah, we're still doing our thing. We're still spreading some Christmas cheer. And
I
Spreading the
somehow
cheer.
made it to Christmas. I'm so shocked.
Yeah,
I know.
you did it.
Wow.
I'm thoroughly impressed.
Same.
And,
You did
I'm,
too.
yeah, I'm out of my Tiny Tim era.
It was a fun era. I enjoyed it.
I did not. I was having a real bad time, but, I'm feeling my best.
There are
and
no crutches to be seen by the fireplace now.
Yeah, my crutch is firmly tucked under my armpit.
So, folks, right now, people listening are probably asking, what's going on? And the sound of that was Alexis belching into her arm, really giving her diaphragm a good workout.
I always
Gotta warm it up.
am. I'm a former singer. You gotta work out your diaphragm every once
Is
in a
that
while.
why you're so good at belching? Is because you used to sing opera?
Do you want the real reason why I'm so good at belching?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
actually.
Of course
Is there
we
an
do.
origin story here?
Yeah, wait.
Actually,
Oh, I
please.
love it. Oh my god, I didn't know this. Share with us.
So there was this girl in high school. Her name was Raven Alexis. Actually, her middle name was Alexis, and she was
name.
she was interesting, and she would belch the ABCs.
Yeah.
And so I honestly wasn't really very good at burping at that time.
Raven Alexis, did she teach you?
Is Raven
Well, it was
Alexis
I was
your
trying-
shadow self?
She
Is
was
that
she
your
was like
alter
my
ego?
she was my I guess my belching master.
Your belching
Your
sensei?
belching master. Thank you, Sensei.
Yeah, so I was trying to belch the ABCs like her, and so I just kept making myself belch, and then eventually it got to a point where I can no longer stop belching.
You couldn't stop belching the ABCs. Wow.
It's like whatever the muscle it is that I worked out there. It is down and ready to go at all times now.
That's what you
Wonderful.
worked it out.
Yeah, I
you're
sure
ripped.
did.
Your
It's
a wonderful
diaphragm is
belch.
ripped.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I used to try to burp the ABCs, but I'd always get close to throwing up by the time I got to L.
No, let's not.
No, I said my birth and then I said A. That's not the
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Hi, folks.
it's nice
and
to...
so-
I'm Mick.
So we're in what's going on already.
Yeah,
We are.
you
We
said-
are.
You did it.
I did do it. So what is going on, folks? Let's tell the wonderful people what's going on with our lives.
well,
We got a listener email.
yeah, we got a listener
Wait, what?
email that was not from my dad.
Oh my god. No, folks listening to this, we have been wanting to get an email from you all for so long. And Zach's dad has emailed us maybe once or twice, maybe once.
Once.
And we finally got an email to the Film Majors from what's his name?
Let's
he's-
not say his last name.
No.
He's,
Yeah.
he's a fan named Jared.
It's Raven Jared. Jared's his middle name.
Yep. Yeah, so Jared sent us an email that was, very kind, very supportive.
Hi, Jared. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's nice to know that there are people we don't know listening.
I know.
Yeah, I don't think he's my biggest fan, but that's okay, man.
That's, it is what it is.
Yeah, so Jared had a few questions for us.
Yeah.
And one that I feel like we could get into a little bit that I thought was a fairly good question is, what's a movie you hated when it came out, but over the years have grown an appreciation for? What made your view on the movie shift?
A movie we hated. Now that's the key word, is hate.
Hated, yeah.
What's
see,
a
that's-
movie that we hated, but we've grown to appreciate that?
You know what's
That's a good question. Thank you,
one
Jared.
that I hated when I saw it first, and I think the main reason my view shifted is because I got older.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Doctor Strangelove when I was about 8 or 9.
The Kubrick film.
Yes,
Nice.
and I
One
did
of my
not.
all-time favorites.
Yeah, I did not like that movie. I was
Really?
very. Yeah, I think that I think it was a little too mature for 9-year-old me.
Yeah, could
I
be.
was very upset by the ending, and yeah, I spent a lot of years being like, oh, that movie's, I don't like it. It's not funny. And I don't know if I ever revisited it prior to, honestly, my first year of college. But I went to a double feature screening of Lolita and Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb,
Right.
which had like a talk back by one of the producers. And upon rewatching Doctor Strangelove, I was just struck by how incredibly funny that movie is. I mean, Peter Sellers giving an all-time performance.
It's
Several
performances.
all-time performances.
3 performances.
George C. Scott,
Hilarious.
incredibly
Oh
funny.
my god. I
And,
love his performance in that.
Sterling Hayden.
Came out of retirement to do that part.
He's the guy who talks about the communists trying to steal our precious fluids.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's hilarious.
So yeah, I think just age shifted my view on Doctor Strangelove, which
Yeah.
I would now say is probably one of my favorite comedies.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to hear you say that because it is in my top, I don't know, 5, but top 10 at least. Love that film. So good. Alexis, do you have a movie that you hated and have since grown to love?
I honestly can't even think of a movie that I necessarily hated that I revisited
Right.
necessarily.
Wow. Somebody
I-
didn't rewatch Elvis 3 times.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
That doesn't apply to her, though.
Does
I'm
not-
just
that
thinking
doesn't
about
apply
my
to me,
experience with
so-
that. I'm still a little mad.
No, I mean, I can think of movies that I maybe I would feel differently watching Licorice Pizza again. I didn't like that movie. And since then I've gone on a PTA marathon and
Right.
decided that, oh shit, okay, I have to take it back. I do actually really like him as a director. I have to eat my fucking words. But can't think of any movie specifically that I hated and then grew to love.
Maybe you and I should have a day where you rewatch Licorice Pizza and I rewatch Phantom Thread. Because
Yeah, there
I
you
had
go.
I had a
Okay.
similar experience
Yeah.
because Phantom Thread was my first PTA movie and I did not like it and I have not revisited it.
Not
Yeah,
your first PTA movie that you didn't like.
No, the first PTA movie I ever saw.
Really?
I
Yeah.
actually, I'm
Wow.
trying to think.
You were
Yeah.
that late to the PTA movie?
Yeah, I saw.
I didn't know
First
that.
year of college.
Wow.
Yeah, that came out my first year of college. I watched that.
Damn.
I didn't like it, and then one of my friends was like, "Okay, sit down, watch There Will Be Blood," and I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
Fantastic.
I think, if I'm being honest, I don't think I'd actually seen a PTA movie before Licorice Pizza. I can't.
Really?
Yeah, because we
Wow.
watched Phantom Thread, Punch Drunk Love, and
Was that
Boogie
after
Nights
Licorice
after
Pizza?
I
Oh,
had
wow,
seen
okay.
Licorice Pizza, because I was like, well, I really didn't like that movie, but I know everybody's like Tits McGee over PTA. So.
It's McGee over
Sure, I
PTA.
am. If there's
quote
one
of the
term
day.
I would use to describe my feelings towards PTA,
It's Tits McGee.
It's Tits McGee.
And yeah, so I saw those movies and I was like, well, damn, I didn't love Punch Drunk Love, but I did love Boogie Nights and I loved Phantom Thread. So I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should give this guy a chance again. I don't know that I will necessarily come back to Licorice Pizza and have the same feelings that my mom and you guys have about it, but yeah, no, I mean, just whatever. I think I just, I'm less inclined to hate movies, maybe.
That's fair.
You're a more positive person.
I think
you have
that's
a sunnier
fair.
disposition.
Yeah,
Indeed.
there are only a few movies that I hate. Splice is probably a great example of that. That would be a fun episode if we ever covered Splice, but that's neither here nor there. I would say for me, this is also a film, kind of like Alexis, I didn't hate. I just didn't get it. And didn't really like it. And I wanted to like it, but it just didn't do it. But there was something about it where I just kept returning to it and trying. And it has now become one of my favorite films of all time. Coen Brothers' Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
That was a movie I tried. I think I was in middle school because my friends were really all about it, and I just didn't understand what the fucking point of any of this is. I didn't really get the comedy. It just seemed obnoxious and it wasn't going anywhere. Why do I give a shit about any of these people? But the more I thought about it, the more the lines and the dialogue just kept sticking with me. It's like, you know what? I should watch that again. That's a good line. And I kept going back to it. And it's probably the comedy I've seen the most. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time, The Big Lebowski. It's such a good film. So out of any movie, if I had to pick my trajectory of going like, ooh, really don't get this, to this is one of my all-time favorites, Big Lebowski.
I do know why it was that I thought that I didn't like PTA, especially because I watched let me see here. I watched Licorice Pizza, and then I watched Punch Drunk Love, and I was like, I do not know if I like him as a director. And it's because his characters are not likable to me, personally. Right. But as I watched more of his stuff, then I was like, oh, shit. Okay, I kind of get it now. Yeah. I don't need to like them. I just want to see where they're going, where it's going. So that's kind of it for me.
That's what I've said before. I don't think I've said it on the podcast. I might have. Doesn't fucking matter. But what something I really love about PTA films is that they're always, most of them are these big odysseys. They take place over this long period of time, and you have all these different casts of characters that come in and out of life, and you see this person, start from nowhere, go someplace big, and then really top off and drop off. And they're corruptible, and oftentimes, as you said, not likable characters, morally bankrupt characters that are our leads, which is tricky to pull off, entertainment-wise. That's really why I appreciate his films.
Yeah.
So to pivot back to Big Lebowski real quick, Mick, what do you think it was that made you shift your perspective on it? Because I had kind of a similar experience with Big Lebowski. I didn't hate it the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like, oh, this is a top tier Coen's movie.
Right.
And then the more I revisited it, the more it just like grew on me.
Yeah, I would say it definitely comes down to, I think it just comes down to the script. It is. I really think The Big Lebowski is one of the best screenplays. It's so good. The dialogue and what the actors did with those lines is just, how can you not be impressed by it? And also, just the fact that it's also stupid. In the end, this really isn't a mystery. This is just, it's what is it? It's a spoof, basically, of The Big Sleep, right? It's kind of like their take on it.
Yes, I think so.
Because it's basically an LA noir detective film.
Yes.
But what if instead of Humphrey Bogart, it's a washed up, pot-smoking hippie who loves to go bowling, and that's all his life is, and he's just thrown into this situation that now suddenly he has to investigate this mystery of this missing person. I don't know. I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great idea for a script. I think it's a great idea for a story.
It's something that it has in common with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Is
absolutely
it's a movie about what if your unwilling detective was fucking witless.
Yeah.
Like,
no, absolutely.
What if they were a complete buffoon?
And it's great to see them fall ass backwards into answers, which is always fun.
Yeah.
I love Jeff Bridges' portrayal. I love John Goodman in that film. So that's my answer. I think it's just that script. I love it. I love reading it. I've read that script, and it's just great. It's so good.
Sweet.
Yeah. Anything else going on, folks?
I went and saw Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Oh, wonderful. How was that?
I really enjoyed it.
Nice.
Del Toro has said this, but it is definitely of a piece with The Devil's Backbone and Pan's Labyrinth.
I'm in it because I love those.
In terms of being a story about children navigating fascist regime.
Yeah.
Love
it also reminds me a lot of AI, which means
Still haven't seen that.
It broke my fucking heart. Because it is a movie about what if you made a being that lives forever and loves forever and loves people who do not live forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
That's absolutely true.
It is a nightmare. It's an existential horror. And, I think AI is a better movie, but Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio also fucking wrecked me.
I've been really looking forward to that film. So I'm excited to see it, especially after Robert Zemeckis dropped his take on Pinocchio this year.
It made me curious to watch the Zemeckis one.
Well, that's the thing.
What did he say?
What?
Oh no, Zemeckis made a Pinocchio movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
He made
okay.
the Disney Pinocchio
Yeah,
movie.
with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, the Disney live action
see.
remake.
I think we covered this at the beginning, like back when it came out in September, some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
see it.
No one did. No one did.
Yeah,
It's
it
cursed.
dropped straight to Disney Plus, I believe.
I see.
That seems about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to shout out two vocal performances from Pinocchio. David Bradley, who is a British character actor who played Filch in the Harry Potter series. He's
Okay.
in Hot Fuzz and The World's End as well.
right.
He gives a really wonderful vocal performance as Geppetto. And
He plays Geppetto.
Yes, yeah, he voices
Interesting.
Geppetto. I was trying to place the voice because it sounded like John Hurt.
Does he
and
sing?
Yeah,
He sings.
I believe he sings.
You know, that is
Yes, he does sing, yeah.
I think he is a Royal Shakespeare trained actor. That
A lot
guy.
of those.
I think he
yeah.
is, because they did like a behind the scenes or something with Game of Thrones one time, and he's in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
because
he
he's
talked
one of
about
the
how
20 British people.
He is one of the 20. I think he's number 18.
Yeah, I think so. Well, no, he'd be one of the earlier ones. He'd be like number
Yeah,
5
but
or 6.
it's England. It changes. I don't know why it changes.
It's like a power
an
rating.
Yeah, it is. There's a
ever-shifting
hierarchy to it.
Well, I think he deserves to be higher than number 18.
I agree.
He's
with
at
that.
least a number 12. In my heart, number 12 at least.
That's nice.
Love
In
it.
England, number 12.
That's fucking true.
It is true.
Shout out to our English
We
listeners.
love you guys.
You're ugly.
Braces are getting cheaper every year.
You know you're American when you have to make a comment about British people's
Yeah,
fucking
fuck
teeth.
them.
Because I think that's even in a 1975 song where he says something
so
like,
easy.
if she says something about my teeth, she's American.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hey, Britain,
there are-
how's the World Cup doing?
There
for
are
you guys?
certain stereotypes that have truth to them, and British teeth is definitely one of them. Like, okay, really, do all their teeth fucked up? And then you look at it, and it's like, wow,
All
yeah.
their teeth are fucked up.
yeah, it's all of them.
I don't know. Maybe braces are just really prevalent in America.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean, my
they
teeth
could-
were fucked up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So were mine.
So were
Yeah.
mine, and I
So
fixed
that's
them.
why I got braces.
Yeah, in a healthcare system where it's not a single payer healthcare system.
That's right.
Britain, they have nationalized healthcare. What are
And
you
they
guys doing?
still don't
Do they
do
not
it.
have nationalized dental?
Yeah.
Maybe
Come
they
on.
don't care.
Well,
Maybe it's
Start
easy.
caring.
Maybe they get better grit on their bread.
oh, are we claiming that the British have some sort of a better food than
No,
us?
that they have a better bite.
They have a better
Their
crunch.
teeth are.
They can bite bread better.
What? I know.
You're saying that they
Alexis
can bite bread
trying
better.
to
You're not
defend
saying
British
that
teeth.
they make
I was
better
making
bread.
a joke because I'm
Well, you
like,
know-
I feel like you guys are ragging on them really hard.
It's fine. They
know
can
us.
take it.
Yeah, they've. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Colonize
You
half
know,
the fucking world. They'll
Actually,
be fine.
I'm gonna British teeth and their gritty bread. Actually, is a good segue. It's a fantastic segue. I thank you, Alexis, for teeing me up to the film I watched, which is The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, a Billy Wilder film from 1970. And there's a great line in it where Sherlock Holmes is talking to, I think, a Russian man or something like that, and he goes, "Well, you know the old saying that the only thing worse than British cooking is our lovemaking."
Oh dear. Expand?
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's what people say to the British when they make love. Expand?
expand.
Oh no.
I would say that I actually have not written a review for a film in a very long time on Letterboxd, and watching The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes really spurred me to do that again. It's a really good picture. It really is. It's not perfect, but it's close to being a perfect Sherlock Holmes story, because at the time it came out, and I'm actually excited to talk about the film that we're here to discuss today in the context of the era in which it was released. That's kind of how I view The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, because at the time, what was really becoming popular was the American New Wave, and because of Godard and Bergman, everyone was really into these edgy, independent European films, very singular directorial voices. And so these big budget pictures from Hollywood were really kind of from a bygone era at that point. They weren't making money. They were called roadshow pictures at the time. And Billy Wilder came out with The Private Life of Sherlock Holmes, which was supposed to be initially like a 3.5 hour long epic.
Oh, wow.
But they cut like an hour out of it, of these side stories, which, by the way, is amazing, because you watch the movie and I couldn't find a single point where there was a storyline missing. It's a really well cut film, and It's gorgeous. The guy who shot it was, I believe, the gaffer on The Red Shoes. So he had watched how that cinematographer had made such a gorgeous film, applied that to Sherlock Holmes, and the music is from Miklos Rosa. I think that's how you say his name, the guy who did the music for Ben-Hur, which is one of my favorite film scores of all time. He's been credited with reintroducing the concept of leitmotifs into film scores, which is just so beautiful. That's basically, if you don't know what that is, it's just a reoccurring theme that is associated with an idea or a character that comes back in many different forms. It can be a love theme, it can be a tragic thing. But yeah, to wrap it up, Sherlock Holmes' Private Life, I would really, really recommend it. It's like this weird amalgamation where they tried to take what was popular with Bond at the time, but apply it to like Sherlock Holmes, and it surprisingly works for the most part. There are some parts of it where I'm like, don't know about that, but Christopher Lee as Mycroft Holmes, scene stealer.
Excellent.
Oh my God, he's so good. So watch that movie. It's on Amazon Prime, I'm pretty sure.
Perfect. Right on. Anything else? Do we have anything else going on?
No, I've been catching up with so much Succession. I have not watched any movies.
Hell yeah.
Zach is living for it.
I'm so thrilled every time I see a text from Alexis about Succession. Makes my day.
I'm gonna have to fucking watch that show at this point.
You are. It's
because
great.
a PA I was working with yesterday, we wrapped the show. He was talking to me about Succession, and he said something that really it kind of pushed me over the edge. Of like, okay, fine, fuck it. Sweet, do it. I'll watch it. So I'll probably roll that maybe when I'm up in Oregon.
Hell yeah. Alrighty, well, let's get out of what's going on.
Great.
Bye.
Button up.
Fucklehead.
Yep.
Buckle up, fucklehead.
Buckle up, buckle up.
So
It's
what are
such a
we
good
what are we discussing today? What are we attaching to our film?
We
the
wanted
day?
to talk about some of our favorite either anti-capitalist or just films that are critical of capitalism.
Great. There's plenty of those.
There sure are.
And we love those here.
We do.
On the
The
Film
more
Majors
recent
podcast.
one is definitely Parasite.
Yes.
Excellent choice.
Alexis, what do you love about Parasite?
Yeah.
Great.
Expand.
Great. Let's see here. We did talk about Parasite before as a gear change film.
That's right, we did.
But I guess in general, I always love films that follow a quote unquote common man. Because to me, what is real is what's real in the lives of real people. I mean, I'm enjoying Succession, definitely, but, a lot of it, I'm just like, I can't fucking believe people live like this.
Yeah. Hopping in helicopters like they're fucking cars.
Yeah.
Drive your whirlybird.
If I can just buying football teams or whatever, Anyways, but I enjoyed the symbolism of the fucking rock. I enjoyed the trickery of the family, but it's also just kind of like, to the rich family, it clearly feels like this family tricked them into hiring them, right? But really all they're just trying to do is survive, and in order to do that they just have to be fucking clever, right? And they are fucking clever. And it kind of reminds me of the way that I think women were viewed in the past as being conniving and secretive and stuff. It's kind of the way that I think rich people kind of in movies or portrayals or whatever kind of feel about people who are poor, who make their way into their space, is that you tricked people into being here, and it's like, well, then fucking offer me a seat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else I like about it. I mean, there's a lot of different moments, the whole thing of they smell like a basement, and that guy is trying to figure out what the fucking that smell is, and that's what triggers it at the very end is, and yeah, it's so offensive to him, and that is actually what triggers the climax at the end of the movie, is that the stench of poverty on a different man is so offensive, and he sees how offensive it is to him, and he thinks, you know what? Why the fuck am I helping these people? Mm-hmm. Why should I help this person? Yeah. And yeah, that's kind of fair.
Do whatever you have to do because none of this matters.
I mean, do whatever you have
And
to.
sticks a knife into
I mean,
his back.
in many ways, capitalism. That's what capitalism teaches you, and that's what like all those rich people are doing is doing whatever it is to like keep things going for them. But the poor people are the ones who are demonized for doing that as well. You know.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Us versus them
Yeah.
mentality.
One that I love from the year before is Boots Riley's "Sorry to Bother You."
Great choice.
Which is
that was
an
one I was going to mention.
incredible, full-blown. That's a communist film,
Yeah.
and it rules. I love how literal it is with its how much it literalizes its theme.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers for the movie. The company in "Sorry to Bother You," I believe it's called Worry Free.
Yes.
Is literally turning its workers into horse people,
Yep.
so that they will be stronger and hardier in order to work.
And who runs Worry Free?
Army Hammer.
Army Hammer,
Giving
folks.
a very good performance, I have to say.
Yeah. You buy it, don't you?
Cannibal actors, he's the best.
Our least favorite cannibal actor, but maybe
He
the
might
most
be my
talented.
favorite cannibal actor, which,
Great.
you know, let's,
Great.
listen.
Isolate that audio.
How many other ones do you know?
Well, I was just thinking about bones and all, so you know, at this point, I mean, maybe we can say Timmy is my favorite cannibal
Yeah,
actor.
he's not a real
No, but Zach
cannibal.
means an actual actor
Yeah.
who's also
I
a
mean an
cannibal.
actor.
I don't know many. So.
I mean, an actor
I only
who
know
has professed
5?
to be 100% a cannibal.
Jesus.
Who's incidentally an actor.
Yeah.
Great.
But, yeah, I love that they are literally turning the workers into workhorses.
When that happens in the movie, I was like, it's not often does my jaw drop, but oh my god. It's
Yeah.
also very graphic.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really
it's graphic.
in your
big
face.
old horse cocks, too.
Oh god.
That's kind of what I meant by saying graphic.
The bit where Army Hammer
We're all thinking
is
it, but
trying
Zach has just thrown it out there.
Army Hammer is trying to pitch, oh my god, what? Lakeith Stanfield on turning into a horse person so that he can control any horse workers movement.
It's so on the nose.
He goes,
I love it.
He goes, and think about this. You'll have a horse cock.
Great.
Yeah, so I love that film. It is a searing indictment of capitalism. And anyone who has not seen it should absolutely check it out. I believe it was on Hulu. It may still be on
That was
Hulu.
16, 17? No, 18. That was 18.
Yes.
Right.
I'll be honest. I know you love that movie so much. I think the movie's good, but I will never watch it again because I cannot with the horse cock.
It's very disturbing.
I will not.
I will be kind of in the middle of that, actually. I also don't... I didn't, like latch onto it and love it the way you did, Zach. I would probably rewatch it. I would revisit it. But I'm also not in a rush to. Because it did disturb me. It really did.
If we were looking at, like, Lakeith Stanfield's, like, performances in movies over time, sure, I'd rewatch it. But that is the only reason I would come back to that movie is for Lakeith.
I also enjoyed the white voices.
Yeah,
Oh
that
my
was
God,
fucking
that was
hilarious. That was
hilarious.
hilarious, yeah.
I loved that.
I'm gonna have to find a month to sneak
God.
that into because I love that movie. Also, if anybody wants to give me a Christmas present, I want that movie on Blu-ray.
Great.
Well, now we know what to get you.
Great.
Because I think that would be nice to have on the shelf.
Right?
We've explained what the shelf is, right?
Yeah, our
Multiple
massive
times.
Blu-ray
Our massive
shelf
Blu-ray collection.
that we are gonna have to get another shelf for.
You know, Alexis has kind of, I don't even know if you know this, but she's
What?
kind of pushed me towards maybe I should get a VHS player.
I have a VHS player at my dad's place that I could bring down.
Oh my God, do it,
We
'cause
should
I
bring
can-
that down.
I have literally every single Disney movie on VHS in the original clamshell, containers and stuff. Yeah. I mean, like...
Bring down the VHS player so we can watch Disney
Terms
films
of Endearment. That's what we watched the other day. That's what I forgot to bring up in What's Going On. Mick watched Terms of Endearment for the first time, and I was telling him that the first time I saw that was on VHS because I was having this very, I mean, I didn't have money coming out of high school, you know. My mom was like, get a job, provide for yourself, and I, love providing me with a work ethic or whatever. But, I didn't have any money. So if I wanted to fucking watch a movie or something, I went to the used store and I got VHSs that were like 50 cents, or I got used CDs, to play in my car. And it made me so mad that the whole system was rigged so that you couldn't certain DVD players and Blu-rays and stuff weren't backwards compatible. And I was like,
right.
It's all just a fucking thing to get our goddamn money. And I was so pissed about it. So I bought myself a VHS player and I insisted on only watching VHSs for like a couple years.
I love it.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, I'll bring the VHS player down.
You should, because we should add that, because again, I want to get a new cabinet and redo the whole fucking thing, so we should do that.
All
VHS,
right.
Blu-ray, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyways, bit of a tangent.
Mick, anti-capitalist or critical of capitalist films? Capitalism.
I think they're really good ones. Wages of Fear is great. Devil's Backbone's great. But if I had to choose one that I just love how blatant it is about it, it's They Live by John Carpenter.
Hell fucking yeah,
That's
brother.
probably my favorite. Parasite, actually, that's probably my favorite. But
They Live, don't back down.
They Live is such a good film. I know we've talked about it before on the podcast, but that is about as anti-capitalist as you can really get. And they package it in such a strange alien invasion of the body snatchers type of way. It's basically, because it's also very communist, because you have the homeless shelter, which is very much a collective of people that understand what's going on, and
yes,
you have
the working man
can see the truth, because they have these sunglasses that let you see the truth. Anytime you see billboards that are ads or magazines, it's all about breed, make money, obey. It translates all the signage that you see when you're walking down a street into really what they're communicating to you. And by they, I mean this alien civilization that has invaded Earth quite successfully, and they exist in the form of rich people and police.
Yeah,
and
rich people, cops, and news anchors.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, can you get better than that?
Yeah.
I mean, can you really boil down the issue better than that?
As someone who fucking loves Sorry to Bother You and thinks that is such a unique, original film, it owes a lot to They Live.
They Live is excellent. If you haven't seen it yet, you really should. It's been out for decades now.
Spool through the filmography of Mr. Johnny Carpenter. There's a lot of good ones there.
Johnny Carpenter and Jordan Poole.
For those who don't know, John Carpenter was interviewed recently and was asked what contemporary horror directors he likes, and he was like, I think Jordan Poole's doing a lot of good stuff, and it's like, it's nice.
Almost there.
It's nice that you praised him, but that is not his name.
Yeah. So that would probably be my choice for a movie that, is an indictment of capitalism in a very fun way. It's a fun film to watch.
I'll definitely have to check it out sometime.
That's
Maybe
right. You haven't seen it.
You guys have any other movies that you wanted to bring up?
Not off the top of my head.
American Psycho's a good one.
Yeah, I actually have a tie-in with that. And I have a good segue to our official movie.
Ooh, we love a segue on the podcast.
Please, take us there.
I'll be honest, I love Parasite so much, but I think my actual choice would be The Big Short, which, okay. I mean, I know that it's not like a highly loved movie or anything, but I really enjoyed it when it came out because... it covered a point in life that, we all went through, the recession that happened after the housing market crashed.
As opposed to the recession that's happening next year. Buckle up, guys.
Yeah. Toodaloo. All of our money.
Yay.
What money?
I know. I'm in negative money.
I have none to lose. I'm actually in a good place.
I do make goes somewhere else.
I've been ready to be poor for years. I'm already there.
I can't lose money in the recession.
I've already
if
had
I
practice.
don't have any.
Yeah, exactly. There's something kind of beautiful about that.
This is why I love us, is because we talk about the next economic depression, and we're like, hey guys, we're there, we're together, we're ready for it, we're already there.
Yeah.
There's a silver lining in everything.
Yeah.
I like eating beans.
Yeah,
Me too.
Oh my god.
Why did I say it like that?
Me too.
Too.
But yeah, no, when I watched that movie, I really liked it. I liked the way that they broke down all of the terminology so that it's like easier for you to understand. And honestly, it horrified me because there was so many people involved in what went on that just, they're making their money, so why would they care about all the people that it's hurting? Or even, they don't even realize how much it's going to hurt people because they don't realize that they've literally built something on a fucking house of cards.
Because they're out of fucking touch.
Yeah.
That's the problem with rich
so
people.
That's like, it's like that fucking scene with Steve Carell when he interviews like some guy who is like a broker and he's like selling all these bonds and he's explaining like how these bonds work and he's like, hey man, like this guy just, he told me everything, and as if he like didn't care. And he's like, because he doesn't, you know, like they don't even know. And he's like bragging about the fact that he basically is about to cause a fucking crash in the economy, you know? And to me, it hit home because my mom did lose her job during the beginning of the recession. So she was unemployed for quite a while. She ended up having to take a job out of town. I did tell you guys the story, but this is my segue.
Same thing happened with my dad, actually. He had to take a job out of town as well.
My mom as well.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Aww. Guys, we share this together.
Yeah. Mom, if you're listening to this, good on you for surviving and doing what needed to be done.
Wow.
Profound.
Yeah. And for Jared, I love my mom.
Yeah, no, you should have. Before
Jared.
we segue, let's address that for a second, please.
Jared thinks it's unbecoming how I talk about my mother, and I would just like to say for, you know, something, my mom may not listen to this podcast, but anything that I say on this podcast, I gladly will and have said to her face. So
It's true. I've witnessed it.
It's true. I've seen it.
Mick came over for Thanksgiving, and
Yeah.
he was, I think he was kind of interested in the family dynamics.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. It's like, you know, sometimes when someone really rags on like a family member, you're like, okay, I totally get that. I do that all the time. But then you see them with that family member, and then they change their tune because with family, you have to be nice. You know, Alexis is still, of course, you love your mother and she loves you and you are actually very nice with each other, but you do not at any opportunity change how you truly feel. You will just straight up have an argument with her, and the thing is it's like, oh, like Alexis is so right, but I just got to let them do their thing because this is clearly their dynamic.
Can't get in between it.
I would like to also say that as much as I rag on my mom, she is possibly one of the funniest people that I know in my life, and she absolutely does not mean to be. She just is who she's is, and the comedy
hilarious.
just follows her around.
Nice.
So yeah, but she lost her job. She took a job out of town, and one of the places she worked for like a good 6 months was Hemet. And that is, if you don't know, it's kind of in the outskirts of like San Bernardino, basically in the desert. It is the tiniest fucking town. They have like one motel, then that's where she lived for like 6 months. And that, you know, the motel was a little dilapidated. So, I mean, when she came back, she brought bed bugs with her, you know, so we had to throw out like one of our mattresses,
I didn't know that.
you know?
Wow.
Yeah, and but I did go visit her that Christmas while she was there, and one of the things that we watched was It's a Wonderful Life, and that is probably one of the times that I've really truly felt closest to my mom was watching that movie and her explaining her reasoning behind why she loves that movie, and it's because she's so alone out there. And she's been spending months and months, and you know she's from Fresno originally, has grown up there, always with family, and she felt really alone. And that movie made her feel close to her family because of how close to family that movie is. And so that's our movie that we're talking about. It's a Wonderful Life, 1946 by Frank Capra.
Starring Jimmy Stewart and Donna Reed.
I'm straight up over here, like, on the verge of crying.
mixed
right now.
tearing
I'm
up.
actually tearing up from that.
This movie made us messy and unfuckable by the end. We were
That made
bawling.
me cry, Alexis, what you just said. Oh my god. That's
I-
really beautiful.
I love my mother.
That's really
Jared.
fucking beautiful. Yeah, fuck you, Jared. Thanks
you
again
for
on the next
emailing.
episode.
We love
Thank you for
We love
emailing
you.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for
no,
the
thank you. Please
email.
keep doing it.
And he berated us. I love that.
Yeah, he did.
No, Jared, berate us more, or at least me.
Okay, relax.
He's writing us a story. I think that's enough.
Don't encourage
Yes!
it. No.
Yes.
Okay. So.
Me too.
Great.
In 2017, Universal Studios announced The Dark Universe, an ambitious project that would see all of their classic movie monsters come together like some kind of horror Avengers. Only one movie was ever made, which bombed so hard they canceled the entire franchise. But what if they hadn't?
On our podcast, Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, we imagine the connected horror universe that never was. Every week, one of us pitches the other on the next movie in the universe until we grow to Marvel proportions and beyond.
So far, we've tackled Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and many more, and we're just getting started. Follow along on your favorite podcast app and ask yourself the question, are you afraid of the dark universe?
I had not seen this film before. And
neither.
It is I would say a Christmas classic, which, by the way, this episode is coming out on December 23rd. Merry Christmas!
Merry fucking
Christmas.
Christmas.
To you.
You made our shitmas list.
You made our shitmas list.
You sure did.
Our
Season's
wonderful
greetings.
listeners.
And also, Happy Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've discovered that I'm a fucking sucker for Jimmy Stewart.
Oh yeah.
I
love
we
that
all-
guy.
I told Mick that
Yeah.
when I was in high school, I had a huge crush on Jimmy Stewart. Because, like, I watched this movie, obviously, like,
You
for the
had a
first
crush
time.
on little old me?
I sure did.
Wow.
I sure did. It was, and because I had also seen this movie that he did, Harvey,
Right.
and we had it on VHS, so I watched that a couple times. But it's really good. We
I
should all watch
have
it
to watch
sometime.
that.
But this movie really cemented, like, am I in love with James Stewart? And yes, and to this day, I stand for all the idealism that he portrays in these movies. He does it so well.
Have you seen Vertigo?
I've seen Rear Window. I've not seen Vertigo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one movie with Jimmy Stewart where I'm like, God damn it, you're a bastard and I hate you.
I need to rewatch that movie. I haven't seen it since I was
I've never
He's such
seen
a dick.
I've never seen him play a bastard before.
Well,
But in
but that-
general, like,
well-
he had this all-American man, like,
Yes.
kind of...
He was the Tom Hanks of his day.
He really is.
yeah, you
Except-
know, he represented a nice guy.
He
And
was
so,
1,000% more charming. Goddamn Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah,
no
no,
offense
he-
to Tom Hanks.
yeah, like,
He's
yeah,
got
yeah.
that Midwest vibe that we all just love.
And I love the way he talks. I don't know. I'm like, I wish you were alive to
I know
talk
what you're
to him.
saying, but
Yeah.
the answer is yes. So yeah, it's really quickly.
You
so
want the moon?
it's
Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso
Lasso
and
around
pull it down.
So It's a Wonderful Life. It's a story about George Bailey, who has so many problems he's thinking about ending it all. And it's Christmas. As the angels discuss George, we see his life in flashback. As George, played by Jimmy Stewart, is about to jump from a bridge, he ends up rescuing his guardian angel, Clarence, who then shows George what his town would have looked like if it hadn't been for all his good deeds over the many years.
So that's
Which is a weird
one
synopsis
thing,
of it.
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to bring up right
Yeah.
off the bat.
I think we have the same thing, what we're going to say.
I knew that It's a Wonderful Life involved someone, like, seeing what the world would be like if they were never in it and realizing, like, oh, I've had such a profound effect on people.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that's, like, the last 30 minutes
that
of the movie.
synopsis is like the third act.
Yeah. Like,
most
most of the movie is just George
Yeah.
Bailey's life and, like, his relationship with
Yeah.
Mary, his wife.
Yeah,
Well,
and his town, his
yeah.
community.
It's about his relationship with everyone.
Yeah.
Because it has no meaning to understand the effect that he had on people if you don't understand what those relationships meant to each of the people that he encountered.
That is what's so beautiful about this film, I think. I thought about it while I was speeding about 20 miles per hour over the speed limit back here, which was, throughout the whole film, at least for me,
Don't
I was
crash
like,
your car, Mick. It's a Wonderful Life.
I was like, why? Like, as you're watching this story unfold, because I told Alexis, I said, wait, so this really isn't a Christmas film. It's not. It's a movie that has Christmas in it at one point.
Yeah.
This whole time, because again, I hadn't seen it either, because my mom never allowed our family to play this during Christmas because it had portrayal of suicide in it. She didn't want that around me. I always thought it was a classic Christmas movie, like Miracle on 34th Street or something like that, where the whole thing is Christmas, 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 and it's just a very serious, dramatic take on it.
Especially because the picture that they have, that's
Right.
the cover, is
The
literally
Christmas
like a Christmas
tree.
tree in the background.
Yeah.
Well, and the opening,
family.
when you see the opening credits,
Yeah.
there's like Christmas imagery
Christmas
on
music.
the
Mistletoe
yeah,
kind
title
of
Yeah.
cards.
stuff,
And so about halfway through the movie, I was kind of like, so this really isn't like that at all. It's more like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in the sense that it's a normal movie that has Christmas as an element
No, yeah,
of it.
Frank Capra himself has
Frank
said that
Capra.
Capra.
Whoa!
Yeah, he said it's not really a Christmas
yeah,
film.
he said it's not really a Christmas
Which I
film.
kind of agree
Yeah.
with, actually. But yeah, what makes the story beautiful is throughout most of the film, I was kind of going like, well, damn, like I feel like George Bailey's making strange choices. I think they're noble. I think his heart's in the right place. But as I told Alexis, having a really good moral compass and having your heart in the right place at the end of the day sometimes does not put bread on the table.
Yeah.
So like when Potter,
Yeah.
Fucking
when Potter,
this son of a
which
fucking
holy
bitch.
shit, yeah, fuck
this
that guy. When Potter's like, you know what, I'm gonna offer you a 3-year contract, $20,000 every year. Are you in or are you out? I myself, watching that as a viewer, was like, fuck. Damn, I mean, I know you're a bastard, but maybe like 3 years from now, I could take the money and run and then go do what I want to do. I'll take my wife Mary with me, move to the city, travel, all this kind of stuff.
That's how you sell your soul.
Well, that's the thing. That's what this movie's about. And so the important part of watching how it seems like his effect on the community throughout the film, he does have an effect, and you get to witness it firsthand, and you're kind of like going, okay, where is this going? I see he cannot escape this town that he so desperately has wanted to do ever since he was a kid who just got into the National Geographic magazine or whatever, membership of that thing.
Yeah.
Then seeing the effect of had he not existed would not be as powerful had you not witnessed all of it yourself, if you had not had to sit through all of it.
Yeah.
Which makes it worth it. That's what I think so beautiful about it.
Which was it was very interesting because I've seen this movie many times. Every single time that I watch it, I cry multiple times throughout the movie because I'm just so, I think, touched by his relationship with each person and how he affects them. But it's that, and you keep using this phrase of like, being noble doesn't put bread on the table, but at no point was he not ever able to actually provide for his family.
Right.
His family did have a house, they did have clothes, they did have food, they were able to have a Christmas tree. It's just that they weren't rich.
Right.
Like their clothes weren't the nicest clothes in town. And that's something that my mom has my entire life always tried to drive a nail into my brain about is that, you'll never be happy if you always want. You have to understand that sometimes what you have is just enough. And when you have each other, and that's what's so important to her as family, is when you have each other, you have enough.
Which cinematically is a tough sell.
Absolutely.
I mean,
but I
that
think this
really
movie
is.
really got it.
No, it
Yeah.
nailed it. Again,
Yeah.
I was pretty, throughout the whole film, I was like, okay, I see where it's going. I see what they're trying to say. But the last 30 minutes of this movie broke me. Like, Alexis, like, I was straight up quivering and bawling by the end of it. Such a powerful effect, and they did it so well.
Yeah.
They really tied the themes together really well. You had something to say?
Yeah, except you know what's not enough? It's that Mr. Potter doesn't get fucking stabbed to death at the end. If
Yeah.
Well, it's a
if
1946
I wrote this
movie.
if I wrote it, the town
That's
is
true.
not just coming together to bail George Bailey out. They are
It's a lynching party.
They are wrestling up a
Yeah.
posse, and they are fucking dragging that old man's ass out of his stupid fucking wheelchair off the goddamn bridge.
Which is
that
another
George wanted to
reason
jump
why The
off.
Big Lebowski is so good, because they do that to a rich bastard who's in a wheelchair. They literally throw him out and put him on the floor.
Yeah, listen, if you're a rich bastard in a wheelchair, I don't care that
Yeah,
you're in a
watch
wheelchair.
out.
I'll come for you
Wow,
regardless.
that was very intense. But no, you're right. He really doesn't get his comeuppance.
No,
But at the
that's-
end, that's not really the point, though, is it?
Well,
the fucking point.
because okay, to me, so the thing that is so frustrating about the movie is that it's real. It's about the common man, and it's about a man who does what is right for other people, and in doing that, he doesn't get anything really necessarily in return except for friendship and love. you know? And essentially, you know, you could say that the whole point of the movie and saying that Potter really does lose is because he doesn't have any of that. You know, you look at his fucking office, you look at George's office. George has pictures of his whole family around him, and in fucking Potter's office, he's got a goddamn giant portrait of himself that he gets to look at all fucking day. You know, he has only himself, and he cares for only himself. And you know, in many ways, that's a sad way to live. So.
You have something to say, Zach?
Yes, all of this conversation about how this movie is about a common man who does his best to help his community over himself, and at the end of the day, his only reward is the fact that the people in his community care for him, makes me realize why the fucking Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies remind me so much of Frank Capra movies. Legit. No, those movies are very classic Hollywood in terms of like their earnest, like I feel like the line, oh my god, I literally said it earlier. You want the moons? Just say the word and I'll put a lasso and throw it down. Like that line would not be out of place in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Yeah. Like as something that Peter would say. Like
MJ.
Yeah, to MJ. Like just that earnest, heart on your fucking sleeve, I care about you so much kind of dialogue, and how they are stories about someone who is willing to put their own wants and needs aside for the good of their community. That's why those movies are so good. They're classic. They're Frank Capra. They are old Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I guess really what we're coming down to is if they had ever attempted a Spider-Man film in the 60s, it should have been Jimmy Stewart playing Peter Parker.
Let's try the 40s, not the 60s.
Yeah, not the 60s.
I mean, the critics said he's a little old for this, but man, he's charming.
Listen, they were saying Tobey Maguire was a little old for it.
Mary Jane, hold on now. Here comes a goblin. Oh, God.
Dr. Octopus, get out of here. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead.
Quick sidebar.
Oh no.
The point where Jimmy Stewart, George Bailey first meets Mary at the dance. And she's like talking to another guy. Yeah. And then he starts talking to her, and then the other guy's like, hey, please, you know, this is my date.
This is my date.
He just goes, well, why don't you stop annoying people? And then takes her. I would kill myself if Jimmy Stewart popped out of nowhere
and took your
started talking to my gal, and then just said, oh, why don't you stop annoying people?
You know
I'd be like, I'm done. I'm putting a gun in my mouth.
I'd be like, do I just annoy people? Is that what I do? I do.
This is not a wonderful life.
My favorite part about that exact scene, though, exactly what you're talking about, is that as soon as she sees George, he comes up, starts talking to her. She passes her drink to that man because she's already decided, I'm going to dance with him.
You were a placeholder.
You know? I'm fucking done. Also, the scene where what's his friend's name? Is it Sam?
Sam. Yeah.
Sam
Wainwright or something like that.
Yes, is like talking to George and Mary, and they're on the same phone, and then they start getting closer to each other.
That's a great shot.
And then they start kissing. Yeah. I'm like, if I was on the phone, I just heard, oh, Mary, I'd be like, I'm gonna fucking end it. I'm ending it all.
Yeah, but that guy was a dick. His head was up his own ass.
The most charming man in America.
The man who wanted to make soy plastics.
I wouldn't get over it. I would never get over it.
It was a beautiful shot, though. Was it not? Oh, it was so great. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I love that fucking scene, though, because, like, Sam's like, you're not taking my girl, are you? And he literally has a girl behind him.
I know. You know? That's why I'm like, fuck this guy. He even says it laughing.
I'm putting
You're not taking my girl, are you? I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Watch out for that Hitler.
That was like, I guess that was before the Second World War.
It was.
Yeah. So actually, it would have been really good for him to say, watch out for that Hitler.
Yeah, he is a bad egg.
He fucking was. Kanye, he's a bad egg.
Yes, I agree. So I have a question to pose to the film majors.
Pose the question.
What if he had left, what's the name of it? Town?
Oh, Bedford Falls.
Bedford Falls.
Yeah.
What if he had left Bedford Falls and he had traveled to Cairo and he had seen the Colosseum, and then he did start to work on bridges and these big towers and stuff like that? Like, what if he had followed his dreams, which he clearly had throughout the whole film, because at the end of the movie, what is in their living room? A giant model of a bridge. Mm-hmm. So that's what's interesting to me about this film. And I don't know, how I stand on it necessarily, but basically it's like, here's a guy who had these big, big dreams and aspirations to always escape this small town. He never does. And in the end, the story is kind of saying, well, the community you have around you and the family you have and the love and support that you have is enough.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not you agree with that, that's fine. But my question is, do you think that George would have had a better life had he actually escaped? Or do you think that it would have been less fulfilling because it would have been the whole rat race of capitalism and he's doing this, for money? Well, what do we think?
I think he might have struggled less, but, sometimes to do what's right, we have to be steady and give up the thing we want most, even our dreams. Peter Parker said that.
No, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Played by Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, sometimes. To do the right thing, we have to give up the thing we want most.
Yeah,
that makes sense to me.
I don't love to play in
Hypotheticals?
what ifs, in hypotheticals. But I mean, because to me, it's a different life. And you wouldn't have known what it was that you would have missed out on had you done the other way. So how do you really have anything to kind of compare it to, So maybe he would have been happy enough for what he had. Maybe he would have been successful.
But is this the happiest he could have been with how the movie ends?
I mean, I feel like that's an unfair question because the movie knocks it down to what is the bare essentials of what is important in life, and it's the people that are around you, and it's your community.
Right.
And in many ways, there are lots of people who want to do more with their life. They want to get out of their town, so they move out. And in many ways, it is really the places that you come from that need the most help, and you leave those places behind because they're not enough for you. But those are the places that need you in actuality. So I really loved the fact that he stayed because it's him who has the most effect on everyone. He's the one who
sacrificed.
Builds. I don't even want to say that he sacrificed.
He absolutely did.
Because
he sacrificed
he
his dreams.
Gave up his dreams.
He gave up his dreams to be there, and he was not. He was tortured. He was.
Yeah,
to
but
be there.
He came into a different dream, though.
Yes.
I don't know if he would have had an easier life, but he wouldn't have been as fulfilled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. I mean, I don't know. I just think about all the people that he helped, and just in general. I mean, fucking Potter is a fucking slumlord of the worst degree.
We saw what happened to
and
Bedford Falls or Pottersville. When it's basically it's a little Vegas.
He would have been a robber baron. He would have had a monopoly on the
disgusting.
entire area. And so, I mean, what I love about the movie in places is the relationship to the house that they build together.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time that you see it, he's
it's
like,
a character in the
he's
film.
Like, it's this shitty old house. Let's fucking break one of the windows. And she says, no, I love it,
Which is how I felt. I was with him. I was like, this is a shitty fucking house.
Yeah,
it's
experiencing this movie for the first time with Mick, I almost did not want to even touch his leg because he just kept making these comments, and I was like, "You're gonna eat your fucking words. You just fucking wait, sir." Okay.
And I did. I was crying by the end of it.
He ate his tears.
I just can't picture not wanting to touch Mick's leg.
I know, it's strange.
But yeah, so and then they get married, and then he's like, oh, where are we going to some hotel? Okay, great. And then it turns out it's this fucking shitty house, right? And then they go.
It's so drafty, by the way.
It's so drafty.
So fucking
drafty in here.
Draftiest motherfucking
And what's
house
the
in
experience
cinema.
that they have? They have the fucking record player stops.
Yeah,
and
which
then,
is spitting the spit of little hens.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
so
But
cute.
the record stops, and then it's Ernie and
Bert.
and Bert.
It's Bert
and
and
Bert
Ernie.
and
I made a
Ernie.
note of that.
Yeah, it's Bert and Ernie, and they start to sing in the background, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a moment, And then you get to see the family. You know what? Fuck you guys. I love this movie.
No, I love this movie too.
Yes, I enjoyed it as well.
Laughing. I'm like, are you laughing at me?
No, we're chuckling
No.
at the concept of two men named Bert and Ernie
Yeah,
singing
we're
me a
still
sexy
stuck on
jam
that.
as I fuck my wife for the first time.
Great.
Keep it singing,
what
Bert and
I-
Ernie. Keep going.
I'm almost there. Almost there. I'm arriving.
I'm lassoing her.
Real quick.
I brought her to the moon.
There's a point where George's mom says she's talking about how Mary clearly loves him, and she goes, she lights up like a firefly every time you're around, and then Jimmy Stewart just goes, "Rrr, rrr, rrr."
Yeah, no, he grumbles.
Just
I love the Jimmy Stewart grumble.
noises.
Yeah, and his mom even says, I hate it when you mumble.
That makes one of us.
Yeah, I know, right? It's only because you're his mom. You
In
don't
the
get
words
it.
of Jimmy Stewart, I just feel like if I didn't get away, I'd bust.
Well, he did.
He did
Quite a
bust.
few times he had 4 children.
Yeah, he busted at least 4 times.
Yeah, exploded all over.
But yeah, no, I
God
love the
damn it.
relationship that they have to the house,
What
the
is wrong with
characters
us?
that the house has.
It is
because-
yeah, I love the
because,
house, I do.
You know, when he's still in this moment of like, what the fuck has my life turned out to be? This is
Yeah.
all so fucking shitty. Look at this fucking house. The banisters falling apart. My kid's gonna have fucking pneumonia. And then when he comes back at the end, he's like, look at this beautiful house where we made all these beautiful memories together. And like, he goes back into this world where he doesn't exist, and none of those things happen. Bert and Ernie did not sing to him outside of that house, you know?
Fucking Bert and Ernie.
It's a beautiful experience that he never got to have with that house. And,
Yeah,
and
right.
he realizes how important it was, because it's not just a house. These are the 4 walls that house my family and the people that I love, you know?
It's not a house.
It's
a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still-
It's more than just mortar and bricks that makes this house. It's the love and memories.
It's the place where I piped my wife.
Great.
Sound like Bane. Jimmy Stewart playing Bane.
Yeah,
was
the
really
more this
bored
goes
with it.
on, the more like Jimmy Stewart is
Turns into
becoming
Bane.
Yeah.
That would be great if they do a remake. If they do a remake of The Wonderful Life starring Tom Hardy, he just does his Bane voice.
Oh my
So
God.
here's one thing I want to add to this. Here's why I personally, again, I struggled understanding why he's staying in this town.
Yeah.
Throughout most of the film, was I related to him in quite a similar way. I am from a town, very, very small town, that ever since I was a kid, I wanted to escape. And I always wanted to move to the big city. Even when I was a kid, I wanted to be an architect. I have drawings of these giant skyscrapers and stuff. So I really identified with this guy.
Yeah.
So every time he tried to escape, I was like, yes, this is it. He's
Yeah.
out. He's on his honeymoon. They're going to travel. And then, fuck, he's still stuck in it.
Yeah.
Which is why I felt like it was this hollow victory
Yeah.
that he never got to escape. And as someone who I did get to escape my small town and I did move to the big city, and the result of that on my life has been wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, my life has improved so much because I finally managed to escape. So that's why, just me personally, it was a very interesting interaction that I had with this story, because it really did turn me around in the last act of really understanding what this movie is about, and not the artifice, not the superfluous aspects of life that we all, seek out, which is money and success, but really those meaningful relationships. And I myself question whether or not I would ever have gotten that if I had never escaped my little community. But at least for me as a viewer, that was my main takeaway from that.
Yeah.
Which it was interesting. It was kind of difficult throughout most of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, like, escaping, I don't even necessarily say escaping, because I'm only like 3 hours away from my home, you know? And it's not necessarily that, like, I have anything bad to say about where I come from or anything. It's just that what I wanted for my life was just not something that I was finding where I was.
Yeah.
You know? And
Well,
that's okay.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything bad to say about mine either. It's just I know that the dreams that I had as a kid could have never happened
Yeah.
where I was from. And I don't know if giving up on my dreams would have, I mean, shit, I still might have ended up on that bridge.
I think for me, staying in the place where I came from, I would have had to have sacrificed my ideals
Yes.
to fit into late stage capitalism, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
because I was working in accounting for like a really long time.
That's right.
And I hated it so much because I hated having to think about not just my money, but everybody else's money, like day to day, you know? But yeah, I have a story for the end whenever we're finished.
Oh, yeah, well, I was just going to say, if I'd stayed in my hometown, I would have been working at a plywood plant, so I would be, like, at this point, down, like, 3 fingers, probably.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. It's probably a good thing I left.
I'm glad you have all your fingers, buddy.
Yeah,
look at
me
that.
too.
That's
I did
fantastic.
smash one of them really fucking bad, like, right before I moved down to LA.
You still have all 11 of them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just, every time I slam the door in your face, I'll just make sure your hand's out of it.
Thank you.
Unlike Kiss Kiss Bang
Yeah,
Bang.
you open the door, it's like, is that your finger on the floor?
Oh, yeah, you took my finger off.
Well, God damn it, the confounded dog ate my
Funnily
finger.
enough, this movie, I sent this article.
I'm sorry, saying anything in a Jimmy Stewart voice is gonna fucking get me. What the hell happened to my finger? Oh, look at that, it's a wheelchair, wow.
Incredible.
Is that some sort of a rear window?
Should we just redub Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with all 3 of our Jimmy Stewart impressions?
Oh my god, no.
Alexis, what's your Jimmy Stewart impression?
No, I don't want to do
Well,
it.
please do it.
No.
But for
no.
the viewers, not for us.
No, because Zach won't cut it.
You're right, I won't.
Yeah.
Moving on, this movie actually ended basically Frank Capra's career.
Yes, it did.
I didn't know this.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, let me tell you the story. So when this movie, this was originally going to go through RKO, and then they sold it to Liberty for like 10 grand, right?
Liberty.
And that was an independent studio that was co-founded by Frank Capra. And they borrowed like $1.54 million to make this movie for $2-something million. And they essentially had a loss of $500,000 at the end of it. This movie essentially ruined them financially, and they ended up having to sell all of their directors' contracts because it was an independent studio, back when there was still actually independent studios.
This is a very similar story to what happened with American Zoetrope.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, except,
Okay, yeah.
I don't know, I feel like this is looked back on a lot more favorably
I
than
also have,
One
like-
from the Heart.
Yeah, so it's like they ended up having to like sell off all their directors' contracts that went under Paramount, and then within a few years, they just dissolved the whole thing entirely, and essentially this ended Frank Capra's career.
Liquidated it all.
But so during this time, the copyright law, was about 28 years, and they didn't renew the copyright law for It's a Wonderful Life.
They wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so in I think it was like 1974
You know
or
where
something.
this is going.
It essentially was available for all public domain for all different like TV stations to use. So they started playing it all throughout the year, and people realized, holy shit, this movie's so fucking good. And within the next decade, Frank Capra actually got like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah. So he got to see it become what he had hoped it to be.
That's great.
Yeah.
So-
And that's also why so often in these classic, films from the 80s and 90s, you see clips from It's a Wonderful Life being played in a scene like on the TV, because that's the most I had ever seen of this movie was in scenes from different movies.
Yeah, it's because it's public domain.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like Night of the Living Dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something else, that article you sent me was fantastic.
I know, right?
So this film was investigated for communism propaganda from the
Yes,
House
it
of
was.
Un-American Activities
God
Committee.
fucking damn it.
And they found it guilty of basically
Being awesome.
looking at investigating not class warfare. That's not the term they use.
Instigating class warfare?
Here, I can find it if you just go on.
And you know who really didn't like this movie?
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand. So that's how you know this is a good film.
Oh, she said that it had pernicious threats to Americanism, and the House of Un-American Activities Committee agreed. But yes,
They said yes, Queen.
they said yes.
Saying yes,
Unquote.
Queen to Ayn Rand.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
it said they wrote that protagonist George Bailey's story was rife with subversive tendencies like demonizing capitalist bankers and attempting to instigate class warfare.
Yeah.
God, if your movie isn't
Yeah.
attempting to instigate class warfare, what are you fucking doing? If
Yeah.
you're writing a movie right now, look at your script, see if it's instigating class warfare. If it's not, fix it.
They also concluded that those responsible for making It's a Wonderful Life had employed 2 common tricks used by communists to inject propaganda into the film. Further, the film used a subtle attempt to magnify the problems of the so-called common man in society. Wow, so sad. Amplifying the common man in society.
God,
What a tragedy.
I wonder who's
How
going to
dare
see the
they?
movie.
Which, here's another little detail with the House of Un-American Activities Committee. As I told you, Zach, that Cary Grant retired from acting because of how they treated Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, he
you
was
know
like,
who?
what the heck's going on with Charlie Chaplin?
You know who helped Frank Capra get this movie financed?
Charlie Chaplin?
No, Cary Grant.
Oh, hell
Cary-
yeah.
He found the script originally,
Yeah.
and he's the one who brought it to RKO.
Yep.
And RKO is the one who sold it for $10,000 to Liberty.
I'm telling you, Cary Grant, that's why I got a fucking picture of that guy. He's a good person.
That's why we need to, since we're talking on this episode about how much we love Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart,
The Philadelphia Story.
let's fucking go.
I need to
Story.
watch that. I've never seen it.
Which
It's so good. It's so
transitions
good.
me into a little detail about this movie that I want to mention. Jimmy Stewart is a fucking world-class drunk actor.
He
Yes.
is.
He is so good
So
at playing
good.
drunk. He does a wonderful job with it at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
He does an even better job in the Philadelphia Story.
Yeah,
I
it
gotta
is.
watch that.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so excited
good.
to watch
It's,
that.
yeah, I
That's
think,
one of those all-timers that I have not seen yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
probably in a couple of months we're going to be discussing the Philadelphia Story.
Great.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a real... Yeah, thank you for giving a shout-out to his performance because it really was so good. When
Yes.
he really starts to unravel in the end.
Yeah.
Talk about acting with your eyes. Holy shit. You really saw the pain and anguish and despotism in himself
Yeah.
from that. Another little thing I have to give a quick note to was that beautiful shot where they're like very close and they're listening on the phone together. I told Alexis, I fucking hate Hays Code kissing. It's so gross. It like ruined the shot for me. Like, oh, Mary. And I'm like, oh,
Let me
stop.
Like mouthing at
Let's
each other.
slam my
hate it.
face into your face.
It's so horrible. It's turtles going at it. Here's another quote from that article that I really, really want to read. This just goes to show you how cyclical the film industry is. Capra blamed shifting trends in the film industry with the rise of the quote-unquote movie star, resulting in him being forced to compromise his artistic vision. In his autobiography, he wrote, quote, "Practically all the Hollywood filmmaking of today is stooping to cheap, salacious pornography and a crazy bastardization of a great art to compete for the patronage of deviates and masturbators."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're still dealing with that today.
Yes.
It's crazy. Like
Us three deviant masturbators, we love movies.
that's what our podcast should have been.
The
The
deviant,
deviant
masturbators.
masturbators.
Good God. Okay. So he
it's
got
not
an
wrong.
American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Award in 1982, and he said, "Don't follow trends, start trends, don't compromise, believe in yourself, because only the valiant can create. Only the daring should make films, and only the morally courageous are worthy of speaking to their fellow man for 2 hours and in the dark."
God damn right.
Hell yeah.
Us film majors salute you, Frank Capra.
Thanks.
And another thing, too, I know we have to wrap it up, but I saw that documentary, Five Came Back, which was it's a documentary series about 5 famous filmmakers who were all enlisted by the U.S. military to go document World War II.
Yeah.
Frank Capra was one of them.
Oh,
He
okay.
actually, the Pentagon had him analyze Nazi propaganda
Yeah.
for them to really dissect why this is so effective
Yeah.
and how we can avoid that kind of thing, or really how we can utilize that kind of thing on our own end, let's be honest. But this was something I talked about in my essay about Frank Capra in Michelle's class when we all went to
watched,
college.
Mr. Smith
Goes to Washington. We
Yeah.
talked about how is it that all these filmmakers had these very uplifting, very profound stories before World War II, and then when World War II was over, suddenly we had Double Indemnity from Billy Wilder, which is about the corruption of man. We have It's a Wonderful Life, which is about a beautiful, noble person who, no matter how much good he tries to do, he's always squashed down by the machine and by circumstance in life. And this movie came out in 1946. So the war had just ended. So Frank Capra himself had just gotten back from Europe.
Yeah.
After witnessing a lot of atrocities that he was paid to document. And I am not surprised in the slightest that the story that he decided to tell was this.
Yeah.
After witnessing something like that, which also plays into the fact why there's a whole montage that is real footage of World War II that he captured.
When I was watching that, I was like, that has to be real footage.
It's real. Yeah, he shot that. That's from his own stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so he himself was just like fucking over it all.
Yeah.
So that's another, like I talked about with Sherlock Holmes, it's interesting to analyze films in the context of the era that they came out. It was happening to the filmmaker and happening to the industry at the time.
Yeah. Are we wrapping it up? Because I have a short story.
Tell me your story and let's wrap it up.
Okay, great. So, as I said before, this is my episode where I'm really selling how much I love my mother, Jared.
Your mother, Jared?
How much I love my mother, and this message
Comma,
is to Jared. Comma, Jared. But,
We
so
should
as
stop
you know,
encouraging it.
So as you know, in 2008, the housing market crashed, right? But prior to that, people were buying homes that were really fucking expensive because there was a bubble, right?
Artificial inflation.
My mom helped my sister buy a house in 2005 in one of the working class neighborhoods in Fresno, where my dad also lives, and she literally bought that house in 2005, and within a year, the city was trying to buy up like 2 blocks of property, including my sister's house, to build a school, right? And they were going to pay people for their houses, but really for the people who had been buying houses recently, that would not cover the intense mortgages that they had all had, right? Yeah. So that's kind of fucking frustrating, right? And a lot of these people are working class people. They didn't really have the time to really go to head with the city over this. So my mom was pissed. So what did she do? She went door to door. She got signatures from every single person on that like 2 block thing, and she went to the city council meetings. And my mom is not a public speaker. She does not even necessarily speak that well, but she did it, and she essentially was like, I just don't fucking understand why you guys have to buy up all of these people's property when there is literally a giant lot across from all of these houses that you can have, that you can buy there, and essentially my mom helped to make it so that people didn't lose their houses in that 2 block radius. So
no shit.
No, I swear to God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dolores, I don't know if you do listen to this. I hope you do, but goddamn, good on you.
Yeah, love my mom.
Wow.
She wasn't gonna fucking stand for that kind of bullshit.
Wow.
So,
Hell yeah.
Good for
in
her.
many ways, my mom has helped to instill a lot of ideology that I stick to these days. To this day.
So if you're listening to this episode, it's the holiday season.
Yeah.
Help the common man.
Help the common man.
Because you know what? Chances are you're the common man.
I mean, is that not what A Muppet's Christmas Carol was all about? Helping your common man, being charitable. That's what this was about.
And about family and about people that you love.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
this really is a good
other,
tie-in with that one.
Yeah. So don't let all the fucking commercial bullshit of the Christmas season blind you from the fact that what's really important is crushing the capitalist owner class beneath your feet.
Hammer in one hand, sickle in the other.
And pushing that old bitch, Mr. Potter, right off the bridge.
Yep.
Alrighty. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holiday.
Next week, for our final episode of the year, we will be discussing Bridget Jones's Diary. It's a 2001 film directed by Sharon Maguire. And it stars Renee Zellweger, Colin Firth, and Hugh Grant. One of the film major's favorites.
Oh, we love him.
Yes.
This is a great film.
And let me also say that this film is an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes,
you snuck another one in. You snuck it back in.
It all comes back
right,
to Pride
baby.
and Prejudice.
So yeah, you can find that movie on Pluto TV, Paramount Plus, and Showtime. If you'd like to follow us on social media, you can find us at FilmMajorsPod on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And if you want to, like Jared, shoot us an email because we'll respond to you. We're not getting a lot of emails, so send one our way. Send us some holiday wishes and good cheer.
You can email us at filmagerspod@gmail.com.
That's
Great.
right.
Yeah, everybody have a wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, hope you get a Christmas break,
happy
folks.
holidays. I'm sorry I grew up Catholic, guys.
Happy motherfucking Hanukkah.